Hey everyone, Johnny Struggles here, and we got the last Starship. This is going to be a how to do everything video. We're going to run through as many topics as I can and cover as much as I can in this one video. Just kind of roll everything up into the current state of things as of Alpha 8. There'll be bookmarks at the bottom of the video so you can just jump to the section you're curious about learning about, see how to do something. If you do like the video, click that like button. If it helped you out, maybe consider subscribing. And we'll just get into it right now. So starting off, we will go into creative mode to create a new ship. And just go in there and create a new ship from scratch. Alright, so here's the editor as it starts. So you can press the plus and minus keys on your keyboard to make the screen bigger or smaller. Make this a little bigger. Alright. So we're at the start here. We're going to edit ship. This is the main window. We're on the editor tab at the bottom. And you get this grid. So you can see right now it's a mirror. There's a symmetry button on the right. You can right click on it to turn it off and on. Now it's off. You can right click to turn it on. There's also a vertical one. Turn off and on. So now there's 4. The other thing you may not know is you can click and drag and move these. So you can put these in the middle. Offset it in other places. So instead of being 2 squares like that, you can put it right in the middle, and then you have a single square and triple out. So depending on your design, it may be handy if you weren't where you could do that. And the top one, you can do the same. You can put it in the middle, drag it over. Get over, you're doing some small piece or something anyway. Oh, ship's driving by. Come on through. So anyway, we're on hull. So to build any ship, you gotta start off with the hull. So we'll just click and drag. We'll just say maybe a little bigger than I was going to. This to fill in space so it turns blue. You got to click confirm on the bottom right to actually implement the change. Right now it's just there. Just turn off, right click, turn off that symmetry. I just want to add some to the rear here. Angle it down a little bit like that. And we'll see if I do the front later. Maybe the front will be a little more narrow and long. And then we'll kind of chop out this. We'll right click and hold the drag to remove it. So here's our basic rough design. That's a little long in the front. We'll take that off. So we'll just hit confirm. Alright, so now we have a hull, but we don't have any interior. So we go to floors. Basically think this is just a solid block. So now floors will fill out everything but the outside wall. Hit confirm. Now we have a ship with just a giant open floor plan. So you can click on walls and you can add walls in the ship. Armor is to armor the outside of it. You can click and drag and add armor. I don't want to do that right now. Just explain the buttons. Habitation, you can add living space above. Now this part of the game is not really there other than, you designate a space that's now habitable space, but you can't do anything with it. It just allows you to have a crew. Scaffold is just scaffold you can put on the outside of your ship. You can mount things to scaffolding. We'll just put a thing right here for now. We can confirm that. You can maybe mess with that a little later. Spawning is to add equipment to your ship, which we'll get into here in just a second. Destroying removes part of the hull. And currently, if you add like habitation deck, the only way to remove the habitation is by destroying the hull of your ship with the habitation, which kind of sucks. Hopefully they add something to just remove like the habitation deck without destroying the ship. And then last thing, create ship. You can click on this and it'll create another ship. Which, we can just plop. And here we have another design, and on the top right, we have new ship, a new ship, so you can jump between the two. And just sell that for 0 money. Confirm. So now, we have a basic ship hull with a floor. Now we need some stuff to put in it. We're going to spawn. I'm going to start off with the engines. So here's engine. And engines you cannot rotate. They have to point to the left, which is fine. So you always, when you're planning your design, make sure the ship is pointing to the right of the screen, and engines point to the left. So the engines, like most equipment, have rules about how they need to be placed. Like I can't put it outside here. It's going to give you this flashing red stop sign. That means it's not placed legally. You can right click and remove it. Basically what needs to be of the engine is the ports on the far right here need to be inside the ship. Let me get rid of that view so you can see this better. So the fuel port and the electrical port here. The pink is electrical. The yellow port is a pipe for fuel, as labeled. This needs to be inside the ship. This part here needs to be on the wall And that's it. This rest could be outside, so if we go back to spawn. So I can have this all the way to here. And it just says it doesn't have power. Everything's fine. No stop sign. But if I go one more out, warning, it's not placed properly. And go in here like this. It's fine. There's no power. But not everything's going to tell you exactly why it can't be placed. They'll just give you a warning. It's placed invalid. So it used to show you on the screen. I think in the actual install, when this is a boxed item and you try to install it, on this screen it doesn't give you all the warnings that it's being placed invalid. So anyway, engine, we're just designing, so we're in basically free mode where we can put wherever we want. 3 engines. Actually, what I like to do, I like to suck the engines in. Like if this ends up being a combat vessel, which it probably won't be. If you have the engines inside the ship here, it's less likely to get hit. It's less exposed. So for combat vessels, it's a good idea to put it farther in. And real quick, kind of skip this. The top of the screen here says mass, toughness, capacity, value. Value is currently the cost of our ship, so 820,000 space bucks. Capacity is crew, right now 0 because we don't have any habitation. Toughness is the health of the ship. Now the more hull, the bigger your hull is, the more toughness, and the more walls. So if I had just interior walls and hit confirm, that number goes up. Now we have more strength of our ship and stronger. If you add habitation to the ship, this will actually weaken your ship and make it, the toughness will go down. So you have to keep that in mind when you add habitation. So if you're making a passenger transport ship and you make all your top deck habitation, your toughness is really going to drop. So if we go back to floors, we're going to turn floors on and remove these walls. Put that back there, and the mass is just the weight of the ship. So you don't really have an idea. It would be nice if they did something where based on the engines you have installed and the mass of your ship, they tell you roughly how fast it is, so you can kind of guess. So right now our mass is that. One thing we can do with the engines is we can fill in this whole space here with walls, because it's unusable space behind the engines, and just hit confirm. That adds us, 5 more toughness. It is a little bit, but every little bit can help if you're making a combat ship. Just as an idea, something to do. You can do that with a lot of things, really. No, you can do that with some things. The engines are basically what I do it with. So maneuverability, we want some thrusters. And thrusters are key for docking. Really, so we'll put 2 on either side. Now, it's not required to be able to access the thruster from inside the ship. Like this one's visible on the floor, so they can get to this one directly. This back thruster here, if this one got damaged, the crew would have to leave the ship to a docking port, come out here, and then repair it. Or uninstall it or anything. So thruster. I'm going to put a pair in the front as well to help with maneuverability. Honestly, right now in the game, it doesn't matter the location of the thruster. Just having them gives you the maneuverability. I don't know if that's going to change in the future or not. So anyway, we have engines placed, some thrusters placed. Now we need some power. Reactors. And one thing I like to do myself is add walls as I go. So here's the engine room. I'll put a pair of walls here. And I'll leave a 2 square space. So 1 by 2 space per door. Let's confirm that. And if I go back to spawn, there's a door here. So I'm going to put a door there. And now there's our engine room. Alright, good deal. So now we need some power. So we go on the list, reactor. So there's a few different power options in the game now. We have reactor, fusion reactor, and there are solar panels down here somewhere. There we are, solar panel. So the solar panel produces 10 megawatts of power, constant. If you are in a Deuterium nebula cloud, gas cloud, it produces half that at 5. But a normal reactor produces between 5 minimum to 100 megawatts of power. So at minimum, if it's idling, it produces 5. And the maximum is 100. And then the fusion reactor, the minimum on that is 50 megawatts. And the maximum is 500 megawatts of power. But it also requires power to start. The other two are they'll just start as long as the solar panel, as long as it's installed and plugged in, will produce power. The reactor here, as long as fuel, it will produce electricity. So, let's see here. Let's turn this guy this way. We'll put 4 reactors in the back. An idea how I want this laid out already. And then batteries. I'll put 6 batteries in. Have an idea how I want this room looking. So the battery is this. The reactor, if you have something being powered by the reactor, and then something, like you plug something in, something turns on, it has a jolt of energy, like if you're parked and you kick the engines on, they require some electricity to increase the thrust. So the reactors have to spool up to meet the demand of the electricity, and that takes a few seconds. If you have batteries, the supply comes off the battery load, and then the reactors will spool up and charge the batteries back up hopefully before they drain. Look at the walls. So we're going to add some walls here. I'm making this a room here. I like to make rooms in my ship. I just think it makes it look neater. Put another door here. I usually only put doors at the very end, honestly, because I'll maybe move equipment around, change the walls out a little bit. But the cool thing is now we have this outside space here. Outside this room here and this room here for exterior stuff. We should have enough power for most things here. We have 4 reactors, which is 400 megawatts of power, and 6 batteries for buffer. So depending on what we install, we may need more. We might not even need this much. We will see. Okay, so we got a basic engine room, got our power room, and then what do we want? We need a fuel tank. I want to put a huge tank in here for fuel. And put it in the next interior room here. One like that. And I'll keep the same thing going for right now. I'll just stick some walls out on either end. Like that. I don't know what I'm going to do with this room yet. Maybe make some storage and fuel. Let's do that. And then I'll put maybe life support on the other side. Sounds like a good idea. So I know I'm going to have loaders here. A couple loaders for fuel. And then storage. We'll leave it like that for right now. And so fuel, let's put in a couple loaders. So there are 3 loaders in the game. Just one that says basically loader, a fuel loader, and an oxygen loader. Now, a fuel loader is, you can only use that for fuel. Oxygen loader, you can only use that for oxygen. But a loader here, you can use for anything. It's whatever you run a pipe to that has that's defined for something is what that loader is now designated for. Let's see here. I like to have multiple loaders for fuel. That way when you have a bunch of fuel cans, they all drain in quicker, and you can consume less than you're pouring in. So if you had the engines on full throttle and you had only one loader for fuel, it's possible you could be using more fuel than you're supplying. Alright, so this might be overkill having 5, but we'll just put it there for now. And we're going to jump over, we're going to plug this stuff in as we have it. So we'll go to construction and pipes. So now we have these little circles that are darkened out. There's a click and drag over them. Now the gray right now means they're not defined for anything. But the filled in dot means it's connected. So those are piped together. When I connect it to these fuel over here, they will turn yellow. So this fuel line here, we connect all these together, the pipe will be yellow. And fuel for the engines here, yellow, and then I'll link them together. So then I'll all connected together. And I'm going to run this fuel line up to the front where the loaders are. Click and drag it over. And this turned yellow now too. So now these are all designated for fuel. And we have an extra tank to hold excess fuel. So we're not just sitting on the loader. And these things are all piped in. So they are plumbed to go. Now we click on cables. So the pipes, now they change it now in the game. The pipes kind of gray out in the background. They dim a little bit. And the electrical ports brighten up. So everything that has this little reddish pink dot needs to be connected by a cable. The batteries are good. Reactors. Engines, and run this line to these back thrusters. And let's run a cable right down the middle to connect it all together. Okay, so now everything's hooked up. So right now if I brought fuel into the ship, it would turn the reactors on, they would charge up, they'd power up these batteries, and these engines would be powered on, and the thrusters would be powered on. We do have the thrusters up front, so let me go ahead and plug them in. So normally when I design a ship, I put all the equipment in first, and then I do the pipes and electrical last. I figured on a little learning episode we'll change it up a little bit. Let me go back to the editor. So let's start life support. So right now, if we escape out of this and go to overlays, go to atmosphere, it's X's. So all these X's mean on these squares, each square has an X on it, means there's no atmosphere. So there's no oxygen on the cursor. There's nothing there. But we don't want that. We want crew to be able to not wear the spacesuits and be a little more comfortable. So first things first, we need a CO2 scrubber. The minimum thing you'd actually need, let me go ahead and put on here and explain it. An oxygen loader and an air duct. This would be the absolute minimum you would need. And then you'd need to buy some oxygen bottles. And the crew would put the oxygen bottle on here, and you'd run a pipe from the loader to the air duct. And then once you hook it up to power, this would turn on and the bottle would just vent the oxygen in the atmosphere. So let's do that. We will screw around with this a little bit just to explain things. And we'll go to the editor. We will spawn a bottle of oxygen. And we will spawn a crew member. Now this guy I'm going to spawn a spacesuit first because there's no atmosphere, so he would suffocate if I didn't do this. So he's going to put that suit on. There we go. Put that bottle on the loader. There's no power yet. Next thing I'm going to do is spawn some fuel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to press the number 4. Set 4x the game. So there we go. You see the number here, the numbers fuel's filling up in the tank. These bottles are draining. Back to 1x. So each of these reactors is producing 7 megawatts of power. You can jump to here with power grid. You can see batteries are fully charged. 12 megawatts in the engines at idle and 9 on life support. Does that work out evenly? I'm not sure. Sounds about right. So this is venting this bottle into the atmosphere. So we go to the atmosphere overlay. So you can see the squares are filling up. Now every place that has a door slows down the ventilation of the air through the door. On the bottom right here it says doors. You have the option of open vents, open all doors, close all doors. So if open all, these 2 doors open, and then the atmosphere evens out through the entire spaces. And you close all and they close. You can close the vents. So if I do that, both vents are closed, see the icon disappeared. Now this side of the ship will keep filling it with oxygen, and these will not change. Now currently in the game, we escape from the editor menu. You cannot right click on the door and give it any specific commands. I can't right click on this one door and say open or close the vent. It's just this one control here that does everything or nothing. So we are out of O2. Let me add another bottle in there. And we'll speed it up. Thing's spinning, it's running. Fan spinning. So you can see here it's filling up the room. Once this is filled up, this should stop. Okay, so slow down to, parked. He took his suit off. He's a happy camper. Now he's going to breathe in the air, oxygen, and exhale CO2. And eventually that would build up in the ship, especially if you have a bunch of crew, which is why you have CO2 scrubbers. Now I'm going to open the vents in these doors. Open vent. And so he's draining here. You see a little line shift, and these are filling in. This is fan spinning up to help fill in the space. But again, this is the absolute minimum you need, but you can't just run off this. Eventually, you'll have a CO2 buildup in your ship, and your crew could die from that. They would have to have spacesuits to put on. So, let's go to the editor, and we will take care of that. We'll turn off atmosphere, and then we'll end up removing this anyway. So let's go to our CO2 scrubber. It is on here somewhere. And if I have any item and I right-click on an existing item, it removes it from the spawn. So we can remove that stuff. And the space here is where I'm going to put our life support. So a CO2 scrubber just does just that. It scrubs CO2 out of the air. And you can see there's 2 items on the placement here. One is the power, and one is the pipe for the CO2. So this thing sucks or filters out, scrubs CO2 out of the atmosphere, and then you need to do something with that. And there's something called an air reprocessor that takes CO2 and produces oxygen. Put that there. Well, I got a CO2 port on the bottom right, and this one's on the top left. Let me rotate that CO2 scrubber port. So if I right click and cancel, and by the way, if you press the R key, it rotates your items. I just explained that earlier. So R rotates. And a lot of times the image doesn't change, it's just the ports. So now our CO2 port's there. You don't have to do it, I just do it to make the pipe shorter. Currently in the game, pipes cannot cross over each other, so I like to kind of keep things tidy and close connections. So I connected them with the pipe. And so CO2 is going from the scrubber to the processor, and then oxygen comes out of that. Now this needs to go to an air duct to vent out to the room. So let's create or spawn an air duct. And we'll put it right there. And there's one more thing I want to do. I want to install a medium tank. And I'll explain this here. And I want to connect this to the oxygen. So what's going to happen? Pipes. Then over to there, to the air duct, and then to the medium tank. And let's go ahead and plug these items in. Okay. So the reason I want the medium tank here, for excess oxygen. So if your atmosphere is full, you guys breathing in air and exhaling CO2, it's keeping the atmosphere at pressure. Supposedly is how it's working in the game, it appears to be. And you'll start having CO2 buildup, and this will not produce or not scrub the CO2 out of the air because it can't vent air into the atmosphere because it's full of CO2 already. Like the atmosphere pressure is full. You can't take any more CO2 out of the air because it's being blocked. The air processor can't run because it's being blocked because the air duct can't vent this stuff into the atmosphere because the atmosphere is already pressurized. So, to handle that, what happens is you put a medium tank in line. So the CO2 scrubber can still scrub CO2 out of the atmosphere. It can get reprocessed. If the air duct can't vent anything to the atmosphere, it just puts the excess O2 into the tank. And then when there is, why is there 4 there? So already it scrubbed some CO2 and produced 4 oxygen and put it in the tank because it can't do it in the atmosphere because the atmosphere is already full. So if at a point, like you bring on more crew and they suck in a little more air, this will vent into the atmosphere through the air duct whenever it's available. Right now we just got excess air. So this just makes sure you don't fill up your atmosphere full of CO2. So a nice little buffer, kind of like a battery for the power. So the other part of what we need sewage. So when you have crew, you have a habitation deck, which we don't have defined yet, but it will build up with sewage. You can't do anything on the habitation deck. It's just like a thing that exists there, and you have the ability to do something with it. And that process starts with a sewage pipe and waste treatment, and you can make water and oxygen from it. The main thing is the sewage pipe has to be placed under some part of your habitation deck. So you can't just put a sewage pipe anywhere. So to manage that, I think we're going to go ahead and put stairs in and build out our habitation deck as part of this. So let's find where the stairs are, or the ladder. Here's the ladder. Basically, this is how you get to the second floor. I don't know where I want to put the ladder yet, because I have this big blank space. Let's see, let's put the ladder right here for now. And let's go ahead and put a wall. Here, we'll just say I'm going to try to use up that space for things. And then we're going to go to habitation. This is a ladder under here. We have 0 out of 0 cabins defined and 0 sewage build up. So I'm going to do this amount of space, hit confirm. Now we have 16 cabins. We have 1 crew, so we have 1 out of 16 cabins. And like I said, you can make this bigger, you can click and drag and make this bigger. Once you confirm, you are stuck with that space. The only way to get rid of it is to click on destroy down here and destroy that space, but it destroys the ship with it. So like I said, hopefully they change that in the future. Go back to habitation. This is still here. If you right click and drag, you can cancel it to remove it. What I want to make this a little bigger. I'll make it up to 20. 25, there we go. Good enough. Floors. So the habitation deck is over this area now for sure. Let us install a sewage pipe. All I ever could think about with a sewage pipe is just a toilet drain. I'm going to put it right there. So then after that you need a waste treatment machine. I'm going to rotate this around towards the pipe. So there you can see where sewage goes in and wastewater comes out. Actually, I could probably do it better. Let's put down 1. I can fit the sewage pipe on that side of it as well. Just looks like we got the space for it. And again, we'll put it right next to the port there. So from this it creates wastewater. And then we have a water purifier right here. And we're going to rotate this to where the wastewater inlet is next to the outport on the other one. This produces purified water. Now the water from this you can just put in a tank, or anything, but the main option I normally do is there's an oxygen maker which takes water and produces oxygen from it. Again, lining it up. And I can just take this and pipe it right into this tank, and it can share this air duct to ventilate into the atmosphere. So that's what we're going to do right now. We can go to the pipes and we'll plumb this all together. Click and drag. And then we're going to get the cables out and plug it all in. Okay, so powering up there. Can't really see the walls blocking it. Power it on. If this wheel turns, then you know it's being used. But we have one guy in here, he probably hasn't used the bathroom yet. So now we have waste treatment set up. So whenever we have crew on here, it'll go through this system and produce more oxygen for us, for the ship. You can have multiple air ducts. You can have one. Like I said, the only thing is it just takes longer for the atmosphere, the air duct atmosphere from this room to travel through doors to the different parts of the ship. But this worked out well. We have space here for fuel canisters. We have a little space here. So one other thing we're going to do. We're going to install a loader for this. We don't have to use an oxygen loader. I'm just going to use a normal loader. And I'm going to put it right here. And that's for oxygen bottles, so we can plug it in and it can fill up the system if we wanted to. Right now the atmosphere is good, so we don't need it. And one more thing is the spacesuit pod. So when the guys are wearing suits, they consume oxygen in their suit. And if it runs low, I think around 10-15%, then they would go to a spacesuit pod to refill if it's available oxygen. So we move to pipes, and we're going to plumb these in together. And what he'll do is he'll just stand on top of this, and his suit will be refilled. So he doesn't even get out of his suit. He'll just plug into it, and it will refill his suit up. So we're just going to add that just to have it. And the loader just to have the pipe. Alright, so let's see what's the next thing we should do. We have atmosphere. We got some habitation deck. We have 25 capacity crew. We have life support. We have engines. So what can we move on to next? Let's add a docking port to the ship. And we'll put it right here in the middle where the ladder is. And you know what? Let's go a little fancy with the hull. So I already have a base hull. We can make the hull look a little better. It's kind of blocky, very blocky. Click back on hull here. Back to our ship. Can't really see on the inside of where the floors was. So you kind of have to guess. So here's the S mark here. I want the docking port to be right here, basically. So the docking port is 6 squares wide. So I'm going to make 8 squares so I can go a wall on either side of it. So 6 in the middle for the port. Angle that. Boom, boom. And it's mirroring because I'm going to put a docking port on both sides. Make it stick out a little bit. It looks kind of hokey, honestly, but Angle that in on the back. Hit confirm. And then let's angle this out this way on the back here. Oh, can I try that? Let's do this. I don't think I've ever done that before. Put that on the back. Go to tactical. So if you press the letter T, it'll go to the tactical screen, which we'll get into more later. Looks good. Something a little different. Alright, so we added more holes. We need to add floors to this section here. And then we'll add the docking ports. We'll put one on each side of the ship. So again, if you put this anywhere it's not supposed to go, you get a warning. How it's supposed to be placed is just a one outside edge. You see a little green mark on the edge of the hole. If it was, obviously in the wrong spot, it's going to bark at you. But just the outside edge needs to be on the hole, and that's it. Okay, we got that. So let's install our FTL drive. This one's pretty straightforward. So it's just this one component. We'll put him right. Say we have more rooms up front here. I'm kind of going with a different style of the ship here. Or let's put him right there maybe. And we will plug it in. So the FTL drive takes FTL charges to do hyperspace jumps. So it's charged up. I'll put a FTL canister there. Put another one out there just to have it out there. Crew's going to come on, grab one of these charges, puts it in the drive. Speed it up. Ooh, turning green, so he's charged up, ready to go. Alright, so our crew is thirsty and hungry. We have no food, no water, no excess oxygen. It does flash at 0, but if we look at the atmosphere, it is green, we are fine. If this starts going down, then there's trouble. Just we're at equilibrium, so we're good. So don't be concerned about the oxygen level. I was giving us a warning about the FTL canisters. We only have 2 jumps available, so I was going to warn you about that. The food. Let's just spawn a couple pieces of food in right now, and water. Just so this guy doesn't starve while we're doing things for right now. Food. And water. Just put him out there. So next cycle where he wants to eat and drink, he will be fine. Alright, well let's I guess adding on that, let's get into how you actually produce food in the game. There's a hydroponic garden, and that's where you grow food. So let's build a space for that. Let's go and put some walls around this. I'm going to do the same style as doing. And we'll put the garden up on top here, and we'll figure out the walls the rest of the way. So this bottom part will be the FTL drive, and the top will be food. We'll just put one hydroponic garden in, or we got enough room. So there's an arrow pointing to the right, that's where the person would come to it. Go like that. That seems good. And we will enclose the space. And let's spawn a few doors in to fill it in. Hopefully I don't need to change this. And we'll plug them in. Okay, so this requires water. As you can see, there's a water port. We could try hooking that into our water line over here, but then it's going to get split between the waste coming out, and you can see there's some waste here that gets produced from the waste treatment. I did not get into that earlier. We'll get into it here in just a second. But we can plug the water line into here, and it'll take some of that water, but it may not be enough, and it'll get split between that and making oxygen. So what I'm going to do is install another loader. And this will be just for water. And we're going to get a pipe and pipe that into everything. I don't know if you noticed this was gray until I plugged it into the water. So if I right click and cancel the pipe, this is grayed out. So it means not defined. And now it's blue for water. And since we had water down here, the crew member came up and put the water bottle on here. So now these have water. This is one more thing to pay attention to as you're playing, to make sure these have water supplied. Now the hydroponic garden needs 3 things: water, seeds, and the compost from the waste treatment machine. Now you can buy compost from the trade menu as well, but right now we're just going to spawn it in. So there are seeds we can spawn in. Well, seeds, stack of 6, here, have that. And where's the compost? There it is. Stack of 100 compost. Okay, so he's going to install that on one of them. And he should be taking the seeds to, let's see the dirt filling in. Hey, I found seeds. Please put it in the same machine. Okay, so all 6 seeds are installed. So we have water, and this is set, so this is going to start growing plants. And eventually they become a piece of food. They'll just look like these containers here, but they won't be a full. These are 92 pieces of food in here. It'll be I can't remember exactly, 1, 2, 3 per growth, per space veggie. We'll see, we'll jump back to it once he starts growing. But anyway, they'll grow food, and on occasion they'll produce their own seeds as well that can be reused and replanted. So there are weapons: Gatling guns, railguns, cannons, mining laser. These are the 4 quote-unquote weapon systems, but mining lasers are not offensive weapons, they are just mining. So to do some mining successfully, you need two things really: a mining laser and drone, and a drone bay with drones. So technically three, but anyway. So let's put 1, 2, 3, 4 mining lasers on this thing, which is kind of a lot. These mining lasers use a lot of power, and then drone bays. And we'll put the drone bays right in the front. So these have to have a hull on the middle section of the bay at the very least. We'll put 4 bays in. It's kind of tight up here, so maybe not the best idea. Putting them back here on the side might be better, honestly. So drone bays take drones. They're farther down here at the bottom. Put them right here on the floor for right now. And we'll plug them in. Once they're powered up, the crew will come over and put 1 drone per drone bay in. Speed up the game. And charge up faster. Okay. And let's go ahead and plug in our mining lasers while we're at it. Yeah, I can't see. So he's putting the drones, 1 per port. And what will happen is when these things activate, the drone will kick out. The crew will come over and put another drone in the drone bay, and it'll kick out. And when this stuff being brought back by the drones, they get put in the other port here, the pink up. And then the crew will come and collect the item and put it in the storage in the ship. So let's spawn a few more crew. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 8 crew. So we're actually in a gas cloud right here. There's the gas cloud here. Do we have asteroids here, though? Not where we're at. So down here where there's rocks, there's an asteroid here. Or rocks to be mined, and up here where it says hostiles on the map. So we're going to go ahead and do some mining. We got our lasers, we got our drone bays. Let's add a little bit of storage. I like to do this. So next to the drone bays, I like to put storage for the drones themselves. So they're close by. And we'll go click on any cargo and we'll put some cargo space here. Here. So when the crew come to unload the items from the drone bays, they'll just plop it here, close by. Okay, so we already got our target on the map. Prepare jump. And speed it up. And jump. We'll leave in creative mode. And tactical screen. All the goodies are behind us here. So if you check the rocks, there are metallic minerals. Metallic minerals, we want to find the good stuff. We're looking for Deuterium. There we go. And a whole bunch of stuff up here. Deuterium, copper. There's our ship. So if we go to tactical screen, we go to weapons. There's the mining lasers here. Now by default, they're going to shoot at everything in range of them, which have a pretty wide arc. And because auto's lit up, so if you right click on these, it turns auto off. And you can click on them and turn it back on. You can also select the laser and click on what you want them to shoot at. So now they're all targeting that mineral patch. Now with order, or back to normal view, you click on orders down here. These extra options, mining. So let's turn mining off. So drones are gather materials and salvage. So we want materials turned on. Let's use the thrusters to back up here. So with gather materials on, all this is on by default. They're going to go ahead and grab stuff off supplies, so they're going out here grabbing the loose material sitting out here. A little cheddar. Bring it back to the ship. Salvage if there's a destroyed spacecraft and there's debris around it. You can click on gather salvage, they'll get it. And mining, we'll turn that on. And there goes the laser starting to shoot. So it's nice to have a button for mining as well to turn the lasers off and on. Now they're getting chunks of Deuterium to bring on board. And that's pretty it. There's not much, pretty much it. There's not much to it. From here you'd have smelters, and you bring the material to the smelters to be smelted. But we'll get into that later in the video. That's it. So you can see the crew taking the supplies out of the drone bays and bringing in storage. And they're putting them in stacks. 14, they put it in stacks like 30, 35, somewhere in there. But there we go. Okay, so next let's talk about docking and some logistics. So we have our ship here. We need another ship to dock with. In creative mode, we haven't gone anywhere. We can go to import friendly. We'll just import another ship. We can just import our tutorial ship. We can try that. So we have another version of our ship. New ship, a new ship. We can click on our other one. And where are we at? We'll zoom out. We will right click on the screen. Send him over that way. So on the side of the ship, wherever there's a docking port, you'll have these diamonds. And these need to be lined up on your ship, your two ships, to dock. Once the diamonds are lined up, they will go green, greenish yellow, and then the docking port will extend out, and then eventually will latch on, and you are docked. So let's get this ship in here and do that. That would be nice if it rotated. Let's get a tactical screen here, and then go back to tactical. There we go. Align it a little better on the screen. Now to maneuver your ship on the tactical view, you got maneuvering here on the bottom right. You can click on that, and then you have this you can use the mouse cursor for to rotate the ship. You can see the thrusters engaging. I'm not a big fan of that. You can rotate this way by clicking these. As you can see, these have letters on them. These are the keys on the keyboard you use to do the commands. So I'm just going to, let's try leaving that open, and I'm going to press the keys on the keyboard to do it. So I'm going to use the UIOJKL to move and rotate the ship around. It's just easier doing it with the keyboard than using the control there with the mouse. For me, anyway. So let's get these diamonds aligned up, and they will glow when aligned. You just have to be close enough. Try to keep touching the thrusters to align, and we're good. Okay, so it's now docked. When we're ready to undock, we just click down here on undock. This button's only available on the tactical screen. All right, we have both ships connected together. Now we can go to logistics at the bottom. Now, I should have named the ship something different to make this easier. Let's do this. We go to edit. Let's call this one new ship. We'll just call this one ship 2, SIP 2. I can type here. Ship 2. Enter. Okay. So we have new ship and ship 2. We have ship 2 selected. If we go to logistics, so we have ship 2 highlighted and the other ship here. We won't have much here to transfer between ships, but we can still demonstrate it. Like the FTL charges. So the ship highlighted is the source ship, and that's the target ship. You can left click to say I want these many items. You only have so many, so it'll only transfer the one. You can hold shift down to do 5 at a time, or single click for 1 at a time. So it's transferred them all. Cancel it all. So now it's there. But if you want to go the other direction, at the top here, you have to highlight that row and then click here to transfer the items to the other ship. What happens is the crew will bring those items to the docking port, and they will appear on the other ship. Should show up here, the FTL charge, and then another one should show up. There we are. So 2 FTL charges. And that's basically all it is. Pretty easy. The other way you can transport is with docking bays. Since we both have docking ports on both ships, we can do it that way. We go to tactical and undock. So now if we go to logistics, we can, so we have ship 2. We will say transfer to these items. They should load them to the drone bays. The drones will kick them out and transfer them to the ship. There we go. Let's speed up the game a little bit. Walking along. Slow down. Boop boop, and the drones take off. So the drone bay's up here. Go to the new ship. And there we go. So, the delivery blocked. Guys gotta come over here and grab the items. Maybe at some point. Oh, wait, yeah, I forgot. No storage. We still need storage. I should have... We're gonna have to fix this. Any cargo. Now speed it up. Now they can get this sorted out. So now they're grabbing the items. And that's logistics. So, pretty easy once you know how it works. It's confusing. It's very confusing if you don't know how it works. So again, highlighted column is a source ship, and then anything else is target. If you had multiple ships here, you could select any of the ones to put the items on it from that point. So that's logistics. Next, let's expand into the power subject. We didn't talk about that too much at the beginning when we set up the ship. Let's discuss the solar panels more and the fusion reactor. We'll get into that. So as mentioned, solar panels. Go scaffolding. Let's add some scaffolding to the outside of the ship here so we can install some paneling. And we'll go spawn solar panels. As mentioned, these are 10 megawatts apiece, but in a cloud, an Metreon gas cloud, they don't produce, they produce half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's as much as one of these reactors. So they are installed. Now we got to hook up the cables to them. And this is all we really need to get these installed, is just one scaffolding where the wires go, because cable has to be on scaffolding. You can't install cable out in space. You can't do it. So you need at least the one scaffolding where the cable goes to mount the solar panels. Okay, so now we have 10 solar panels. You go to power grid. It doesn't really show me. It's got the normal reactors with them. If we highlight over them, it says 0 megawatts produced. Right now we don't even need power, and it's producing 0. Let's see if we disconnect these reactors, what it's going to do for us. We connect or disconnect them. Just right click and hold to disconnect the cable. Okay, then we go to power grid. It still says 41. Wait a minute, something's not right here. Unpause the game. Silly me. Alright, there we go. So these are producing... Oh, they go down to 2 megawatts now. Doing nothing. So solar panels are producing 5 megawatts. Yeah, it used to be these reactors would produce 5 minimum. So earlier when I said 5 to 50, I guess that's wrong now. They will produce a minimum of 2 megawatts at idle instead of 5. So the solar panels are producing, as mentioned, highlight over 5 megawatts. They should produce 10, but we are on a Metreon gas cloud, so they produce half that. Alright, so let's check the other reactor out. The fusion reactor. So it's similar to the other reactors. It requires fuel, but it also requires electricity to get it started. So just put it here. So it requires deuterium, which are down at the bottom here. We will put a loader next to this. This will just be temporary. And we will connect it with a pipe. Right now it's, gray. So now it's a slight pink color. And if we spawn deuterium, we should get placed in the loader. Here comes a guy. Where are you going, man? We need it. Oh, this is not powered yet, so there's no demand for it. So if we tie this into the power grid, it should start consuming power. Okay, so we're getting 8 from these reactors even though they're not hooked up. The other 50 is from the... The other 50 is from the panels. Okay, activating 4%, 5%. So it's going slow because the solar panels don't produce much power. is trying to get the magnetic field initiated for the fusion reactor. If we go to so we don't have to wait so long. If we go and plug these reactors back in, they'll ramp up to meet the demand here. So now it's going up faster. So there's always this activation. There, now it's running. And see the megawatts production. And idling back down. I don't know why it spiked up like that. We're not consuming that much power. This was the batteries recharging, I don't know. So it's spooling back down. These reactors are spooling back down. Yeah. But that's a fusion reactor. On the power grid, talk about that real quick. So there's nothing too detailed here. Right now in the game, you can only manage this by right-clicking on things to reduce the amount of power it's consuming, which a lot of times it ends up being off. So right-click all the way down, things turn off, and then the engine in the background start flashing once the power drains out. Yep. And then you can turn it back up. Everything's idle now, so basically it's off and on. If you had a lot of power being consumed, you could then reduce it to 50%, and it would reduce how much power is going to the item. But you can do that with anything here. And that's basically all you can do on the screen. I mainly use it to see how much power we're using, if we're losing our battery power. And alright, let's jump to our other ship here. Ship 2. Let's go back to ship 1. Let's just sell it. So on the top right, you have sell next to the ships you own. You can just sell it. And let's sell the one with all the solar panels. Boom. Confirm. Okay, we've sold the ship. No longer ours. It's now neutral. Go to tactical. Yeah, it's yellow. So here we need the storage zones defined. Let's just do it here in the middle. And down here in the bottom right, if you click on overlays and schematic, it goes to a flat view and it's easier to see your designations. Let's clear this out to make it. I like making this stuff match. And one thing I like to do is things that need to be stored certain places, I like to define it. So scroll down, logistics drones, I want them stored next to the drone base. So we'll set that, so all the extra drones will be put here. And we'll put some extra cargo space in the middle for it as well. So anything they offload will just get dropped right here instead of waiting for the crew to walk all the way over here, unload it, and come back. The initial cargo will be right here. Alright, let's check out some combat. First, let me spawn a few more fuel. I don't know, will they put them directly on the loaders or are they going to put them in storage first? Okay, they're going in storage first. That one, it's a mixed bag. So anyway, what do we have for guns in this game? We have 3 weapons. Gallon gun, railgun, cannon. Let's select the railgun first. We have, I'm going to remove the mining lasers in the front by right-clicking on them with the selected. R to rotate. Let's plop them back down. And again, the outside, one side of this is facing to the right, so the right side needs to be on the hull, and the left side needs to be inside. So where the cable port is, that's where the needs to be inside the ship, and the other side needs to be on the hull. This little green place here marks where a crew member needs to be manning the gun. These are manned weapons. So cannons are manned as well. So we got those. Let's put a couple cannons on here. We'll put 1, 2, 3 cannons down. And then we'll put a couple gallon guns in. So cannons and railguns have to be manned, with the exception of a command console, which we'll get into in a second. And then gallon guns are unmanned, so the computer controls it. We'll just put 3 of these on each side. Actually, let's do 2 in the back on either side, then 1 in the front on either side, so we have more coverage of the ship. We can squeeze 2 in the front. We'll just squeeze it in there. So Gatling guns are auto-firing. Their damage is 1 damage per hit. So they fire real fast, and each bullet does 1 damage. Plug these in. The cannons and railguns do a lot more damage. The cannons are fast firing, let's say medium range, and railguns are slow firing long range. They can do basically the same amount of damage as the cannons fire a lot faster. So in close range, the cannons are very deadly. In long range, the railguns will eventually take you out. If your ship is armored, bullets do not go through armor. So if you have a completely 100% armored ship, the Gatling guns will do 0 damage against you, or any target you fire. The cannons and railguns will damage armored ships. They'll actually remove the armor from the ship. So if I go to armor on the editor here, I'm just going to fully armor this. Well, let's do this. So you can highlight part of it. It says here armor and confirm. And that's armored. So if the Gatling gun hit this area, it's going to do 0 damage, do nothing. If it hits here, it'll damage the ship. Let's go full armor. Confirm. Actually, no, let's not. Let's let's go back there. Edit. Right click and drag to cancel that. Once the armor is applied, you can't remove it either, unless you destroy the ship and then re-add the hull. So, normally in normal game, you go to the shipyard and you would edit the ship and you'd buy it and purchase it. Here it's still free because we're in creative. But we'll do some combat so you can see the damage spread on this. Okay, so we got guns, now we need some ammunition. And bullets. So each Gatling gun will take 2 bullet items, or just 2 stack of 300 bullets. So it'll hold 600 rounds. Just put enough in here to be extra. Cannon shells, they'll take 1 stack of 5 per gun. 4, 5, 6. And then we'll just put some extras down here. And railguns are the same. They take 1 stack of slugs per gun. And then we'll put some extras in. They might take some of these back to storage, I don't know. Or loading them. And obviously the, whatever you want to call pathfinding is not always the best. And like, here's an item, we'll go put it in storage, here's an item. Instead of putting the closest gun, we'll put it in this gun over here. I don't know how the game does that, it does it. Okay, so our guns are loaded. You can see 1 stack of bullet or cannon rounds there. Shells, 1 stack of railgun slugs. And on the Gatling guns, you can see 2 stacks of bullets per gun. If you go to tactical screen and weapons on the bottom left, and also on tactical, you can see the armored part of the ship. Click on weapons, you can see there's 600 rounds on the PDCs, or the Gatling guns. And you can see the 5-round clips in the cannons, and 10 on the railguns. Now in combat, just like the mining lasers, you can select the guns, and you can specify targets for them individually. So you can like specifically pick a railgun and shoot at their engines or their guns and try to take them out. And they will take them out of auto. So right now they're highlighted auto. If you right click on those, it turns it off to be manually only. So it will only fire unless you select it and give it a target. On auto, it'll just randomly fire not randomly, but it'll fire any targets it sees. And let's talk about battle stations. So we got this big button here that says battle stations. You click on it, basically red alert, red alert. The crew will man the guns they're supposed to man. You start extending the guns out. Start schematic mode off. See the guns extending, means they're on. And like I mentioned, the Gatling guns don't require any crew to man them. They will operate automatically. They'll automatically fire at any targets. And the cannons and railguns require crew to man them. There's an exception to this, which we'll get into. But as you can see, we're short 2 crew members. Alright. And on tactical screen, you can see this. So the Gatling guns show up as 3 barrels, and they're short. The cannon shows double barrels, and they're about medium in length. And then the railguns are 1 long barrel on the screen. When you zoom out, the Gatling guns look like a little nub. Single nub. Anyway, that's how you tell them apart on the screen. And these screen, you can pretty obvious which one's which. So anyway, we're short on crew. Let's get into the weapons console, or weapon control center. Click on that. We will just place it. We'll put it up here so we can see the screen. This won't be ideal, but we'll put it right there. We'll connect it to power. And we got to have a specific crew member operate it. It's called a weapons officer. Where are they? We have a red uniform. So once the weapons console has power, he'll go man it, because we're in battle stations. There we go. Pew, 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 pew. Okay, pretty cool graphic. Alright, so on the weapons console, if you right-click on it, it says 0 connected weapons, we have an option to connect up to 4 guns. I'm going to have this one operate the railguns, just because there's 4 of them and it makes sense. But you can select any gun you want that are mend guns. So when I select the railgun, the guy's going to disengage from it. There he goes. See the diamond represents the gun he's mending, and he's going to grab a cannon. So that one there, same thing. He's going to leave the gun, grab a cannon, and then the other 2 will just be extra. So now the crew members don't have anything to do. They'll do repairs or bring ammunition to reload guns if needed in combat. That's the nice thing for the weapons control center. I could have another one and they can take over 4 of the cannons, and I have 1 weapons officer, and these 4 guys would be not required. So I can reduce the crew load, overall crew I would need on the ship. The bad thing would be, like, if this console got damaged during combat, like if it got hit, you wouldn't have this one person controlling these guns. The people would have to run over to the gun and man them manually. It's not likely that would happen, but it's a possibility. Alright, so we're at battle stations. We're ready to go. Let's go to the map. Let's find the hostiles. There's some up there. Prepare a jump. Before I do this, let me export this ship. I want to save it in its current state, just in case, bad things happen. Game is still in alpha. You do have occasional issues, but not often. And jump. There was a warning saying it was leaving creative mode, so we would now be in normal gameplay. We have 150k. We're playing the game, but I'm not worried about that. We're just playing the game to screw around. For the tutorial, speed it up. Okay, 1 enemy ship. So we go to tactical screen. Where's the baddie? Oh, he's way over here. Alright, so a lot of times when you come into sectors like this and there's a hostile craft, they basically ignore you until you get in within range. A lot of times. Got a couple spots of armor, but nothing serious, so we could probably take them out pretty easily. We have a lot of guns. On this tactical screen, you'll be able to see their health as well. Ours doesn't show up until we take damage. Same on the screen. We have, it'll show underneath where it says new ship. Let's speed it up a little bit. Actually, slow down. So we have railguns on this. Go here and hover over it. We're just getting within range. And they should, there we go. Targeting and firing. Alright. So we're hitting him. He's going to turn around and engage us now because we just lit him up. And you can see his damage. He took 98 damage of those 2 rounds. 12% total damage. This is these 2 spots. Now, I just click on the screen to move around. If I left click, it just changes the direction of the ship. Doesn't change the throttle. If I right click, it tells the ship to go to that spot and park. So the throttle changed. He's going to go here and park. There's the Gatling guns going. Click on our ship up here to readjust. Now in this view here, we can use the docking controls to do the thrusters to turn the ship. Q and E zoom out. E zooms out, Q zooms in. And then ASD moves the camera around in this view. There he is. So sometimes I'll use this view to fight in just so I can see easier and use the keyboard to maneuver instead of clicking around on tactical. And our drones are going to do repairs or collecting. What are they doing? Right now our orders are on for stuff to happen, so they're doing things. We probably got hit. You'll see here shortly. Gatling gun. There we go. He's trying to shoot at us, but keep moving. Should have talked about evasion as well. We'll do that here on the tactical screen on the right. See velocity; it's how fast we're going, and then evasion is how much evasion we have. 46% damage. So when you turn, your evasion increases. And if you speed up or slow down, it changes your amount of evasion you have. So these drones here on the orders, we have repair hull on. So they're trying to go out here and repair these red spots on our ship. And they'll repair some, oh, we took 2 more hits. They'll repair some damage. Those red spots will stop blinking, but we'll still have some damage overall, which we need to go to a place with a shipyard to do the final repairs, and it'll cost money to do the repairs. Alright, let's get this turned around and hit this guy up. He hits out the back rail or Gatling gun there. Let's pause it. Hit spacebar to pause. Let's go to our ship. So he took out our Gatling gun. It's flashing. It's shaking. There's a crew coming here to repair it. I'll pause it. So you'll see status bar in the middle. It's expanding. Once it gets to the end, this will be fixed, and he'll be start to operate again. Okay, so the guy's right there. Let's just move on, then we'll take a wide turn. We're also venting atmosphere here. Overlays, atmosphere. Okay, he's fixed. Yeah, I think we were venting, but everything's green. We are good. Just want to make sure we weren't losing a lot. So there, docking port took hit. Atmosphere. It is draining. Go to schematic real quick. We have extra oxygen in our tank, so we should be fine. I don't know if we are draining or not, honestly. Okay, anyway, we need to fight this guy. So let's turn to engage. Let's get these rail guns in the front pointed at them. We'll try to keep them aligned. And on the tactical there on the left, you can see the weapons showing him as a target. Hardest part is getting him staying in the line of sight of these railguns. Okay, we'll go by him, let the cannons say hi. Get them to target him. Oh, too far of a turn. Gatling guns are saying, doing some damage. Yeah, get him cannon. Ah, missed. Oh, there we go. That was the hit. Hostiles eliminated. Alright. So we killed him. He's exploded. Let's turn the engines off for a minute. Whenever a ship gets destroyed, it spews a little bit of debris out. So there's some supplies of FTL charge, some food, some weapon ammo. Could be other equipment, there's a spacesuit. Under orders, you have gather salvage. So the drones will go out here and pick this stuff up and take it to your ship. Right now they're probably doing some repairs on our ship still. Yep. So they're floating around. Oop, wrong button. They're doing repairs. Welding. Now they're coming down here to grab the supplies. Even scrap metal here. Scrap metal. Little chunks. They will not. Hey, they had a weapons officer. They will not grab that person. Up here you can see we are 52% damage. We have an alert about it because we're over half. Getting low on fuel, so we would need to jump back. So let's do that. Go to maps. We will go back here. Okay. So we go to Shipyard down here. And we can do repair 100 damage or repair all damage. 60k. So let's do that. Costs us 60k. You get this screen, some ship details, damage, it goes down, and it's just repairing our ship. Let's turn battle stations off. Stand down. Alright, so the ship is 100% repaired now. Full health. The only thing you might see here is on this screen. There could be some equipment that have been damaged. And we'll say some damage. Right now there's no mechanism in the game to repair that from partially damaged stuff. It's just when things get fully damaged, the crew will come repair it. So it could be like 80 out of 100 health. And it'll just sit there and show it's damaged. And no one will fix it until it's at 0 health. Looks like we're producing excess seeds. Alright, so let's go to the trade screen. We've not talked about that yet. Click on trade, and you have different categories of stuff where you can buy, and at the bottom left is sell, so we can sell any excess equipment we have for some money. But we need some fuel, so we go to resources, shift left click for 5 food or 5 fuel, and then we're going to do the same thing with FTL charges just to have a few. That's 40k right there. So shuttlecraft's going to come and bring us those supplies. On the trade screen, if we go to sell, we can sell, seeds at 600 space bucks, not much. And we can maybe sell, cannon shells. We confirm that. So when the shuttle comes, they'll dock. You only need one docking port. The crew will come and bring these things we're selling, and then things that come up to buy will show up here. It's always this 2x6 space next to the docking port that gets filled up with supplies. See the crew bringing items over here to get rid of that we're selling, and these guys are going to load up the fuel. Okay, does he have everything? Once he has, the trade's complete, he leaves, and we're good. So that's pretty easy. Let's talk about the contract screen. So contracts, depending on your ship and your rating, you can do certain missions. So deliver cargo as long as you have space. You can do this as long as you have storage space to find. Equipment requires engine. There's always a requirement fields at the bottom of what you need on your ship to be able to accept the missions. And they're highlighted out here what you can take, and the ones that are grayed out you cannot, because you don't have the necessary equipment to do it. So whatever ship you have selected right now, we just have one, it's new ship. If I click on accept, it will assign to this ship that I need to do this cargo mission, and I need to. The shuttle will come out, load 17 boxes of supplies, so I need 17 spaces in cargo available. Then I'll jump to Star System 1, and then I'll have the option to deliver it. So this one that's grayed out says manufacturing resources. So it requires me to have industry rating of at least 1 and logistics rating of 1. I don't have either of those. And the thing would be, I would need to manufacture product from raw materials, 17 stacks of bullets. So I could have to make 17 bullets, and then I could sell them for 30k. Not bad. And then civilians rescue mission. For this one, you would jump to the system, you would dock to the stranded ship, bring on the people, then jump to any colony, doesn't matter which one, and you deliver the passengers there, and you get your reward. So cargo wreck ship is, oh man, people wrecked everywhere. There's a hostile pirate gang, so you can accept this mission, you go take out some bad guys. We could take this mission. Another cargo. So there's other missions on here. There's like mining, go mine Deuterium, which we've done. There's other things, you get missions to manufacture other resources. So there's several different types of missions that you may get options to do for money. And that's basically it here. Okay, next up, let's check out research. So we do have a research button at the bottom. Click on that, and you have different little branches. There's not much here yet. Of course, like everything, it'll expand. Click on this, research robotic arm blueprints and track blueprints. Metallurgy, these are nice. It increases the efficiency, so smelters produce 20% more output. So nice. Different items here you can make once you research it. So there's 2 items you need to do research. I guess technically 3. There is a research station. There we go. Or well, science station. And a supercomputer. Let's plug them in. The other thing you need is a science officer. Scientist. Put 2 out there. So they're just going to hang out. Well, we only need 1. 1 for the science station. So let's do this. Let's get rid of the... Well, we just leave the extra there for now. It's fine. But now if we go to research and pick anything, we'll just go to metallurgy 1. It says cost 1 research point. Begin research. So it says 1 guy here, metallurgy level 1 researching. So here's the guys at the station. Got his little clipboard. He's doing the research, figuring out what we need to do for that. This guy's bored. If we installed another research station, or I keep calling it research, science station, we'll power up and he'll go say, hey, how's it going? Let's do some research. There we go. And twice as fast. Science, 41 megawatts. So we're using 20, I don't know how much. 41 for the two pieces of equipment. I don't know how much each of these use, but they do consume power, a decent amount. The research screen here, 6% progress. So eventually this will build up, and this will be researched, and we can do more. There is no queue. There's no research queue. I can only select one item. You click begin. If I click on anything else, all I can do is click begin research. That's basically all you need is these three items, and it'll take care of itself. It'll go faster the more science stations you have for the research points, and then more supercomputers will produce more computer points. I'm getting that word wrong. The CP points. So we go to factory automation and begin research. So now we got a supercomputer, and all three of these are required. Computation points, right. So I believe once this gets all the way to the end, then no, take that back. So we got the research points going and computation points computating. We have two guys doing the research and one computer, so I'm assuming the computer's going to lag behind. And this should go twice as fast. So we go like, can we speed it up right here? Can I do that on this screen up? 10x it? Yeah, so research is going. It's going to take a while to get done. Everyone's doing their thing. How much power are we using up now? 90 megawatts. So yeah, the computer uses like, what, almost 50 megawatts. So it's consuming fuel. So that takes money, time. It takes a long time for this to happen. You're feeding these guys. So it's a bit of expense to do this. All right, research is complete. You can tell it because they walked away. Go back to the research screen. So the research is done, but the computation hasn't finished yet. And it's about halfway as expected. There's not much there. It's just these items here. You know, the more you have, the faster it goes. More power it consumes, etc. But that is research. Okay, let's check out industry here. We'll start with smelting. Let's get rid of the science stuff. Okay, right click on all that stuff to get rid of it. We'll just drop a smelter out there. So it's powering up. Speed up the game, get charged. Okay, we have a smelter in here. And by default, it has nothing assigned. It won't do anything. So if you right click on it, you get the drop down, and you can tell it what to do. So you got scrap metal. Scrap metal and metallic minerals both produce iron ingots. It takes 3 scrap for 1 ingot and 2 metallic minerals for 1 ingot. 1 second. 1 second time. Precious ore creates precious metals. Tellurium creates tellurium crystals. And copper creates copper ingots. So the main thing you'll be doing a lot of is using this metallic and scrap metal to produce metal ingots, because most things come from metal ingots. You'll use a little bit of copper. And precious ore, you smelt that to sell the precious metals outside of that to make money at the trade station. That's pretty much all it's used for right now. Tellurium, you can use it to make crystals, and then you can use that to create FTL charges, which we'll check out that process. So let's put set that one to tellurium crystals. So let's set how you create FTL charges. So we go to editor. Let's get rid of all these guns too. We don't need all this stuff. We'll leave the Gatling guns. We'll get rid of the weapons, offensive weapons. Okay. So one thing we need is a hyperspace scoop. And it only faces to the right. You cannot rotate this item. Let's go to schematic. So the port where the electrical and this pipe is has to be inside your ship, and then your hull has to be on the line next to it. That's it. The rest has to be outside. So we only need 1 scoop. And we will need a chemical lab. Here we go. Put them right here. And I want to put a tank in between these two. Let's put a small tank. Doesn't really matter. Okay. So right now with the chemical lab, it's powered up. If you right click on it, you can tell it what to do. You want to say, make FTL charges. And it says, I require 100 hyperspace isotopes plus 5 Deuterium crystals. Let's check that. So we'll go to construction and pipe. You see right here, it requires us where the hyperspace isotopes go. I'll pipe from that to the tank. Now the tank holds hyperspace isotopes to the scoop. Now whenever you do an FTL jump, you'll collect hyperspace isotopes. They'll go into this tank, into this chemical lab. And the tank is here because if you can't produce anything, it's going to store it in the tank. And we don't have any Deuterium. So let's put a pair of mining lasers back in the front. And we can go mine some Deuterium, smelt it, and produce FTL charges. We can also just spawn it in, actually. We might just do that. But we'll put it on here anyway. Because we need to do an FTL jump to get those isotopes. Yeah, okay. So we go to sector map. And there is a mine, or asteroids there. Go check that out. Let's turn off schematic. So when we're in hyperspace, if we highlight over the scoop, it'll tell us how much we're gathering as it gathers it. So do jump. So gathered, saying 50 per second, so quite a bit. And we'll see how much we have in the tank. 283. 280, 200, is it going down because we're consuming it? And it's probably going to the chemical lab here. It requires 100 of them, so it's probably draining it down to 100. And then it'll require 5 Deuterium crystals. So, tactical screen. Let's find what Deuterium is on here. These are blank. There's a neutral ship mining. Metallic, metallic, metallic. So if you turn off tactical, you see green on here anywhere. So it's green and precious ore there. This is all Deuterium here. And copper? Yeah. Let's go here. So there's a little bit of copper there. And we'll speed up the game so the ship shows up quicker. I want the mining lasers to concentrate on the Deuterium here, so we'll go ahead and select that as a target. Stop moving forward. Use my thrusters to back off here, so the mining lasers stay in range. Alright. A lot of times when you change between tactical view and outside of it, you have to re-click on your ship name to reselect it to get the camera to recenter on it. There's other ships coming up to mine, so you'll see that NPC ships coming up and doing things. So they're coming up, they're putting crystals in the smelter. Once there's enough here, should just require 2 to start smelting. This thing will start glowing. There it goes, so it's smelting. Once it's smelted, it'll be out here in the output, and crew will come grab it and should put it in the chemical lab. And then that will produce FTL charges. Right now we have 1 charge. So we'll fast forward this to let this happen quicker. To schematic. On this view here, this wheel will spin when it's actually producing. And you can see the Deuterium ore there. So the crystal's there. And this is spinning, so it's producing. And then when it's done, the FTL charge will show up. There it is. Boop. He's taking that. Put it in storage. You have 2 charges. Easy enough. And we already have these start producing pretty quick, actually, so you don't really need that much. It's just that it requires 100 isotopes, and we are out of isotopes, so that's be the last one it can produce. There's nothing more in the tank. He has not enough isotopes to do anymore. But that's how you create FTL charges. Pretty easy. It's one of the easier things to do in the chain. So you right click on it, it shows us we only have 50. So if you right click on it, it shows we only have 50. We need 50 more to make another one. So every time you do an FTL jump, your scoop will pick up more. And this is a nice little basic setup. I usually use a bigger tank than small just in case, so I have a nice reserve. The small tank doesn't hold that much. If I jump several times before I get any, if I'm low on Tillium. And then you can always buy Tillium as well and smelt it if it's available at the trade station. Alright, so what else can we do? We can make fuel, which requires a whole different setup. We will do that next. How to make... Actually, let's go through the process of making deuterium next, because we have the basic setup for it already. And what we will do is we need to make refined hyperspace isotopes. So let's do that setup. Let's export our ship and our current design. And we'll reload it in creative mode so we can do some things here. Abandon game, creative mode. Okay. So we're going to spawn. We need a refinery. We'll put him right there. And we'll get him plugged in to see what we can do with it. Nope, come on. Cables. Okay, so right click on the cancel. Right click on the refinery. We want to refine hyperspace isotopes. So it says if we have 20 hyperspace isotopes, we'll produce 10 stable isotopes every 6 seconds. Okay. And then we will spawn another chemical lab. Could rotate it. We'll just leave it like this for now. And we will plug him in. Again, we'll speed up the game real quick just to get it powered up. Okay. Now right click on him and we will make deuterium. This requires 10 stable isotopes will equal 10 deuterium every 5 seconds. And now we need to plumb things together. So pipes. Let's get the isotopes here. Again, light green goes light green. And this normal green color, I guess, goes there. And deuterium comes out. So we need a tank. Put that in. We'll put that there. And we will spawn in a medium tank to put our deuterium in. If we had a fusion reactor, we could just... It'll be plumbed into the same network. Okay, so it's on the pipe. So this is a deuterium tank. Alright, so let's do an FTL jump. Map. We'll do a longer jump so we can get a little more deuterium. By the way, pressing M goes to the map. Air jump. Speed it up. Okay, back to normal speed. Again, you get the warning if you click on jump. Leaving creative mode. Creative mode will end when you jump to hyperspace. Jump. Getting 50 per second. This guy's now producing. Little icon changed. A little graphic change. Go to schematic view. So the wheel's spinning. He already got stuff to make deuterium. So he's doing his thing. Yeah, it's building up in the tank. And that is it. It's very easy. But it takes a lot of deuterium to make a full thing here. But every time you jump. So every time you jump, producing deuterium. Every time you jump, you're making FTL charges. So it's pretty easy setup there. So let's see what else. The next thing we think is fuel. So for that, we'll leave this stuff set up. For the fuel, we need to... We'll export the ship and start over again. And abandon the game. Creative mode. Okay. So spawn. I'm doing that so I can respawn it for free because we got into playing the normal game. Okay. We need... I passed it. There, gas collector. Alright, we just need at least one. This item you cannot rotate either. I'm just going to put it right here in the middle of the ship. I'll put it up here on the side of the ship. Okay. So that looks like this on this screen. How do we get the outside view of our ship? Now we're in a gas cloud too, perfect. So it looks like this fan here on the outside of the ship. So once it powers up, it will spin, but we can only collect so much because there's no pipes to it. So it says output blocked because there's no place for it to pipe gas to go. We're already in a cloud to collect it, so let's put down a medium tank. Excuse me. Do that. And pipe it together. Okay, there we go. Escape. So if we put cursor over this, we're getting 6.7 per second. This will change based on the density of the cloud. So if you go to the tactical, well, actually, if you get a tactical, if you zoom out here, you'll see it better. So you see this pink stuff? That's the Metreon gas cloud. It's kind of hard to align your ship with the middle of it because the view kind of changes with the cursor. But if you drive into this deeper, it should get thicker. So we go to tactical and drive up this way. And we'll go in here and put the cursor over the gas collector. Yeah, it's 7.2, so it's increasing if I increase the speed of the game. First flying over, so it gets up pretty high. So you get the idea. It's collecting more. The wheel's spinning faster, you know it's getting more, and it's filling up this tank quicker. So with that, we need another refinery to refine the Metreon gas. And the ratio I like to do best is, for every gas collector, when you're making fuel, every gas collector we want 2 refineries, and then one chemical lab. And we'll just put them all on a line. We're not going for the best layout here, we're just going for them being here for the tutorial. Okay, so if we right click on these guys, we can say we want to produce refined Metreon gas, and then on the chem lab, right click on it, and we'll say produce fuel. And now we need some pipes. So it doesn't matter where on this pipe we do, we can do it anywhere to this. We got to make sure we just don't cross our pipe with the refined Metreon pipe, because you can't overlap the pipes. And on the refined, we'll go to the right one, and down, and then connect it to the chem lab. And then last part is a fuel. We will run a fuel line all the way to the back of our ship, avoiding the pipes in between. Okay, so now we have a gas collector going to a tank, and the refineries here, they're refining Metreon gas, and it's being produced, and the chem lab's taking it and producing fuel. And the fuel line is going right back to the ship, so it's going to this tank and the engines and everything. So we're good to go there. So takes 10 refined Metreon, will produce 10 fuel every 2 seconds. It's already produced 150 fuel, so fuel should be going up. On top is 5,000 fuel. So 12.3 per second. So the refinery will take 20 Metreon gas, and we'll turn that into 10 refined Metreon every 4 seconds, which translates to requiring 5 Metreon gas every second. So you have 2 of them, that's 10 Metreon gas every second. This thing's gathering 12. So 2.2 per second is going to this tank, the other 10 are going to these 2 refineries. And this guy requires 10 refined Metreon every 2 seconds. So between the 2 of these, it's producing 5 Metreon, or 10 every 2 seconds, the way it's set up right now. So it should continuously produce. As long as this thing's gathering more than 10 per second, 10 or more per second, this should be 100%. And right now we're tanking extra. One thing I like to do is I'll fly into a cloud, I'll speed the game up, let this fill up a decent amount, and then I'll move on, and then since I have a lot of it tanked, it's producing fuel as I fly around and do other things. The other thing you can do is you can just build a small ship or a station that just refines this stuff into fuel, and then you can have another ship dock and grab the fuel canisters. On these loaders, one thing I did not explain earlier is you can right click on the loader and you can say unload fuel. So now he's got a fuel canister, and this thing will start filling up with fuel from the tank. And click back on load, and it'll load it. But if you have it unload, he'll unload the canister. The thing is, since I have loaders, it will just take this canister and put it in one of these loaders and load it back in, and then it'll unload it. Just gets into a circle. So you gotta watch out for that. So we're producing fuel here. We're good to go. And that's it. Pretty easy setup for fuel. So what else can we do with the chemical lab? Well, let's check out. We did fuel, FTL charges, deuterium. We can check out explosives. So it takes 5 refined metrion. So alongside this one, we can just install another chemical lab. We will rotate this around just to get the power cable there. Speed it up to get power. Okay, right click on them, and we'll do explosives. So we just need to run a pipe to them. Refine metrion. We'll just run it over like this and straight up. So we're connected, and there he goes. So 2 explosives every 2 seconds. Or well, explosives, 1 explosive every 2 seconds. And there they are up here. It's building up to 6. Once it gets a decent stack, they will come grab it, I think. I don't know if it's a full stack or not. But with explosives, you can use those to create munitions. And there's a thing called a munitions bench. Let's just put it over here. It requires a person. You see where the arrow is? That's where the person has to be, so you can't put the arrow on the wall. Gives you the don't do this sign. Just put him right there. And hook him up to the power cable. And again, we'll fast forward it to get him powered up. Okay. So if you right click on him, you get what munitions you want. So you got railgun slugs, which require 2 metal ingot. No explosives required, just metal ingots because they're just energy rounds. Oh, it's just firing a slug. So the cannons require, and bullets require explosives to shell ammunition. So metal ingot and explosives equals a shell, and a bullet equals metal ingot and explosives to equal ammo. That's all it is, pretty easy. So you can select one, we'll say bullets, since we don't have any of the other guns. And we need, do we have any metal ingots on here right now? Don't believe so. We'll spawn a couple in. So metal ingots, there's a stack. And here's the guy's got a stack of explosives now, 30 explosives, so they'll bring this to the bench and somebody will start working on making bullets. Let's speed it up. Here they come. So he's got the ingots and explosives, so this guy's going to start making bullets. And a stack of 300. Okay, so that's full. Somebody come unload this. Anyone come and unload this? Anyone? I guess he used the... No, somebody needs to take these bullets, man. There's storage. Why aren't you taking them out of here? So it says blocked. It's hard to read it there. It says blocked. Can't do anything more while the bullets are here. Or the bullets are there. Alright, let's do this. Construction, storage. Let's say, where are they at? Bullets. Let's do this right next to it. Okay, so we designated bullet storage here. Let's speed it back up. Is somebody going to grab these bullets? Are we going to fill it up with all the other bullets we have on the ship? Boop. Alright, we need more storage for bullets. Was not expecting this. There we go. Okay, so he should put this on any storage. It shouldn't matter. That might be a bug. But just be aware. You might need to designate storage for this. So he took the bullets off. You guys making more. Double time it here. That's 300. Okay, so he stopped. Boop. Guy took the bullets off. He went back there making more. Alright, but pretty easy setup. Again, you can right click on it and you can select something else to make instead. There could be contracts to produce, produce so many bullets or cannon rounds or railgun rounds. And you can do this easy setup to that, or just to supply yourself full of your ammunition. And we're just sitting here collecting gas to do it, so it's pretty cheap and easy setup. The last thing would be Stargate resin. This is used on the industry mode for one of the requirements for building the Stargate. And all it is just select resin. It's going to take the refined metrion and start producing bottles of resin. You don't need to pipe it out. And just like the ammunition, it shows up like that. and then you can sell it as part of the Stargate project. So there's not much for that. Pretty easy setup. Okay, so we've covered everything for the chem lab and the refinery as well. Yep. Munitions bench. Smelting. So, double check. So one thing we can do, we have rails or track and robotic arms. So as one issue with this we can avoid would be to putting a robotic arm on it. And maybe a track. Or anything like this, like smelters. So let's do this as an example. Let's remove the floor here, or remove the walls there, confirm. And on the chem lab for the FTL charges, we can do this. We can spawn. Hang on. Let's change this back to. Let's make him fuel as well. We don't need anything else. Instead of rotating him, we'll just do that. Okay. Alright, so in the editor, and we're not going to make this pretty, it's going to be ugly. So we have robotic arm, which covers 3 squares here on either side. So we have the source here, the arm, and the target of where the object's going to go. So he's going to grab objects from this square and put it there. The short, let me put that back, I closed it. Short robotic arm does the same thing, only it's next to it. And the smart one, which is the same as the length as the other one, but on it, when you power it up, you can select a different item. You can basically pick anything in the game, and it will grab only that item. And it's smart. But here we don't need any of that. We can just do a robotic arm. We want to say, have it source be the chem lab. It can be anywhere on the chemical lab as long as the source is on it. It will grab the output from it and place it here, and do that. I'm going to take some track, and the arrow points to which way the track is going. Easy setup like that. So the idea being, we plug these in. Whenever the FTL charge gets created, it will be placed on this track, and it'll move on this track to this point. And when the FTL drive requires one, it'll transfer from the track to the drive. So you don't need a crew member grabbing these and moving them. And the arms are powered up, and they're in place, the objects, and you can't see the track in this view. That's kind of a bummer. But anyway, we don't have any hyperspace isotopes, so we need to jump. Let's do this long jump again. Speed it up and jump. Getting 50 per second. Do we need Deuterium crystals? I don't remember. Do we have any over here? Might need to spawn some. Okay, so he is producing. He's spinning. So we don't have one sitting here already, so he's refilling the FTL charge there. There we go. So we just produced an FTL charge going on the track. It's floating down the track. No people necessary. He's bringing more crystals to the chem lab. And now next time we jump, and this thing's spent, he's going to auto-load an FTL charge from the track. And no crew required. So with that, you can do something else as well. Let me export the ship. And abandon game, we'll go back to the creative mode. So we can edit. Spawn, let's do another robotic arm. But let's have it load Deuterium crystals into the chem lab. Okay, so I'm going to have this one face the other way. Oops. One right here next to the other one. And we will have some track facing it. Doesn't matter. We'll just do a little bit of section. And we're going to do this. We're going to go to storage and designate Deuterium crystals on the beginning of the track. Right there. And you see it in the background. It's yellow now. So any Deuterium crystals, they will put on this track. It'll go here. And the arm will auto-load it into the chemical lab. But we need to plug that robotic arm in. Oop. One thing to take note of, once the item is on the track, the crew will not take it off the track, from what I've seen. So once it's on the track, they won't move it. There it goes, you see it auto-loaded. And so as you get stuff, so this is going to make this more automated. So as you have Deuterium crystals, it puts them on the track. As we jump, it gets the scoop, and it's going to produce FTL, and it's going to be on the track. So it's all pretty much automatic, which makes it pretty cool. Makes it easier to manage. So let's move on to more the smelting and manufacturing side of things. We've not touched on that yet. I will probably have to clear some of this out at this point, at least the weapons control center. So we do have a smelter. Let's change the smelter to be, say, metallic minerals. And let's spawn in Fabricator. Put him in there and an assembly table. Put him right on the power. Speed it up. So right click on the Fabricator and you have an options of what you can fabricate. So for the most part, these things are for the Stargate project, but some things are for other items. Right now, it's minimal stuff you can make in the game. So most of this is for industry mode when you're producing parts for the Stargate. So you can select what you want. It tells you select what you want, and it tells you what will be required to make it. So this is 5 metal ingots. We'll make a frame in 10 seconds. And if you right-click on the assembly table, you get a selection of what you can make. You can make a ladder. It tells you what's required to make it. Battery, solar panel. Oh yeah, precious metals are required for solar panels. I hadn't seen that yet. Stargate frame just requires frames. Actuator requires motor in a frame. So, very basic stuff. So we will make a Stargate frame because this is required as part of the Stargate project, so we'll use that as an example. And the Fabricator will say make frames. So this will require metal ingots. 5 metal ingots to make 1 frame every 10 seconds, and this will require 2 frames to make 1 Stargate frame every 20 seconds. So timing-wise, equals out. By the time this makes 2 frames, it'll be when this is done. So in the smelter here, we need some metallic minerals. Let's just spawn some metallic minerals in. Wrong button. Get some of that in here. Metallic minerals. Stack of that. Let's go ahead and put a couple in storage here too. Speed it up. So it's going to smelt. Making metal ingots. So it's produced 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once it gets a good stack, it will be able to be picked up. There's more mineral to smelt. There we go. Okay, there. Let's put them in here. So these metal ingots are being processed to the frames. There's a frame, and then he's putting it into the assembly table. There's a second one, and now the assembly table requires somebody to man it, to operate it, to produce a Stargate frame. And there he goes. Zip, 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 zip. And we have a Stargate frame. He's putting that in storage. Okay. Pretty easy setup. So, this is all manual. So things are coming here, you grab them, put them place to place to place. So of course we have robotic arms. We can automate some of this. So we go to editor. And again, this is free because I'm in creative mode. I'm just plopping this stuff down. Normally you'd have to install it. So on this long one here, again, it doesn't matter where the arm is positioned on the items. It can be anywhere as long as it's on the item. I'm going to put the robotic arm here. So the source is a smelter, target is a fabricator. It requires these items. I can put the same one here, or I can use a short one because they're next to each other. It doesn't matter. So it's like this is blocked. There's items here that are blocking it from being done. So if we put an arm here, it'll automatically move it and avoid the need for somebody coming to grab the item. So there we go. So these will transfer automatically between the two. But we can do more, just like this. We can put a track and an arm here to put the items. So we'll just put a short robotic arm this way and some track. No point when they're facing up. Okay, and then we go to storage. And we'll do metallic minerals here. So any metallic minerals we'll put here, and then the arm will move it once we plug the arm in. And what we'll do up top is we will install another robotic arm. Do a short one. Just to get the thing off the table as soon as it's made. That way it can start producing the next one and somebody will grab the item off the floor. And let's do some more metallic minerals just so they can see them put in store or on the track. A bit overkill. So there, we see this arm just put the Stargate frame up there on the floor and the guy is going to come grab it. In the meantime, this could process, but we're waiting on the ingots here. So let's speed it up. Ideally, this should produce non-stop. So as it's required, the arm's going to put more metal or metallic minerals in the smelter. It avoids crew coming. This just makes this thing 100%. Okay, so next, there we go. So now this is running. Zip, zip, zip. This does require somebody to be there. That's the only thing. So we have one guy here to man this, and that's it. So it should stay producing pretty quickly. That's a basic setup. So you can do this with other items. Like I said, under the Fabricator, and you have other items you can make. Some of this requires copper. So you could have a second smelter over here, smelting copper. And this could be aligned for both of them for that, to produce the item. So we can try that real quick. Let's do this. Let's put a normal speed editor. There's a Fabricator, and we'll need another smelter. Let's put him there. Wrong way. Where's the smelter at? It was right there. I'm just orienting it for the cable so I don't have to put another cable on the floor. Okay, we're going to say this guy's going to make motor. And this is going to want to make Stargate Actuator. So it requires one frame and one motor. We'll jam this up here. We'll put another Fabricator in here. Okay. And robotic arms. We need some more arms. So right here to go from this smelter to there, and this smelter to the Fabricator there, and one short one in between. Okay. This one here is going to be copper. And we can do the same thing with the robot arm and track. Okay, I'm plugged in. It's getting a little messy on here on the screen, isn't it? Again, I'm just doing examples, not laying this out the best way. Just showing how it can be done. Copper minerals, we'll put that at the beginning of the track. So we'll put it here and it'll move along the track. We already had some on the ship, so it's already in the smelter. We need to spawn some more metallic minerals for the other smelting side. And then we'll discuss the setup. And we'll do copper as well. Okay. So this guy here is set to make a motor. So it requires metal ingots and copper ingot. This one's set to make a frame, which requires metal. So we'll see how that works. This one smelter will produce metal ingots, and hopefully get split between both of these fabricators. And then the assembly table. We have robotic arms for all of these, so everything should be moving, transferring automatically between these items. On the setup, I would probably put 2 smelters for this one fabricator, or 2 smelters for this one, and then 1 just for this guy. And they can be spaced out accordingly to get it lined up right. But I don't have it that way. Ideally, if this one's taking all the minerals, this should get jammed one way or the other to the other fabricator. Will get the metal ingots to then produce. So we'll continuously work. Go to schematic, so we can see the item there. We'll speed it up on this view just so we can see the items in the background. So they're smelting. So there we go. The Fabricator's running because he has the items. And there's the. You already had a frame. There we go. It's working pretty well. Output blocked. Zip, zip, zip. So it's working pretty well. Yeah. And so we're making Stargate actuators now. Pretty simple setup. These robotic arms make things a lot quicker. They are in the research tree. So there's a robot arm blueprint and track. Once you have that, then you can produce the items yourselves. Smart robotic arm, short one. And then you could have some setup where you could produce your own robotic arms on the assembly table. If we had a research, we could do robotic arm, and then you can go through the process of making them. Okay, so one thing I've not discussed is hyperspace sensors. This only applies to one game mode, the survival game mode, where you're escaping the anomaly. These go on the exterior of your ship. They become active whenever you do a hyperspace jump. And so when you're in the anomaly game mode, or survival game mode, there's an anomaly that expands on the map, and you're constantly jumping away from it. The closer you are to the anomaly, the more data you'll gather per jump. And the farther away, the less you'll gather per jump. The more sensors you have, the more data you'll collect per jump as well. When you jump between sectors, you'll get they'll run the whole time as long as you have power. Just these activate during the FTL jumps, so you just got to make sure you have enough power to cover them, otherwise you lose that data. No, you don't lose it, you just don't collect as much because you don't have power on them. So that's one other item. We're not going to expand on that since we are not in that game mode, we're just in creative. So one other thing, ice grinder. So there is an ice comet in the game, and if you happen to come across it, you'll need mining lasers to zap it, and you chip off ice on it. It will produce, chunks of ice. They just sit here, they don't melt or anything. They go into the ice grinder, then you pipe it into a water purifier who will produce water from it. And you can do that anyway. I can just hook it up to your existing life support system. That would work. You can put it in a separate setup with maybe your hydroponic gardens, if you have any, to produce water for them. Anything you wanted to do. Let's see, do we have one on the map here? If you normally go to the map, it will show a comet on the screen here. And there is not one here. Let's see if we can jump and find one real quick. There. Okay, go to the map. There's hostiles here. Comet, there we go. Comet. Ooh, meteor shower. And there's a bad guy way over there. So we'll turn battle stations on to enable the Gatling guns to come out, and they'll start shooting at them. Ooh, we're not aligned though. Meteors come from this angle. The Gatling guns are not going to hit them before they hit us. We'd have to have the ship turned sideways a bit to angle into them. Like this. Oh, is that the bad guy right there? Nope, the neutral ship. I was like, hey, how'd he get so close to us so quick? He's way over there. It's like this one thing coming in. He's going to go across the front of us. You can see the angle of attack most of these meteors are coming in. You want your Gatling guns pointed at them, so they'll actually shoot at them before they hit you. And they can do a lot of damage. Many a game have been killed by a meteor strike. So here we are, tactical. There it is, we go that way. So we need some drones because I don't have any right now. I only have 2, alright. We'll buy it. I'm going to use the thrust controls to rotate the ship. Get these mining lasers in front to point at them. You can turn battle stations off. So we can move while the shuttle's coming. The shuttle will always dock to us, no matter our movements. Tactical. Mining lasers in the front should engage. Oh, they're not on automatic. Let's turn them on auto. There we go. Now they're zapping it. Chunking off water ice. And so then our drones, once they get loaded up, should just go out and start collecting it. Speed that up. So there they go. Bringing back the water ice. And some other drones from another place are coming and get it too. So they're going to put the ice in the grinder. So 10 ice equals 2 wastewater. Or 10 ice equals wastewater. Because we have the walls in the way. If we go to schematic, yeah, water purifier is running. Making more oxygen is just basically getting in the tank here. It gives you another supply of water and not possible oxygen as well. That covers that. Okay, so there's different game modes in the game. Under new game, you have Stargate Project, Survival, and Free Roam. So Stargate Project is the main focus of development right now. So inside the game you'll be as a project to build a Stargate. So your purpose is to gather resources, supplies to produce a Stargate. So that's also called Industry Mode. That Survival is similar to the game of FTL, where in this game there's an anomaly slowly expanding, consuming everything, and you are trying to gather data on the anomaly and escaping it, not getting trapped, and trying to survive along the way. There's no ending to this game mode. There's no ending to the Stargate Project game mode, but it looks like there will be sooner than later. Survival just as that, you just survive as long as you can. And the Free Roam is just as it says. It's Free Roam. You just do what you want at your own pace and play the game. So you can select a ship hull here or anything you've made and begin game, and you'll start off with some money. These two on Stargate Project, you start with a pre-made hull and with some resources there to start on that. I have a couple videos on the Stargate gameplay if you want to check those out. It'll explain that a lot more. And then creative mode is just creating ships. So, or any platforms or stations you want. So I've made a ton of designs, but you can go here and design a ship to play your game. If we go to load game, let's see. So in a normal game, if you have a shipyard here, you go to shipyard, you can click on buy ship. Click on that, and then you can go through your inventory and buy anything you can afford. So you can do that. It's going to take my money and produce my ship, print it out next to the shipyard here. It's a pretty neat idea. And now here, you got a ship. Look, it printed out the crew as well. Good deal. So basically it takes your exported ship, puts it in the game. And now you have it on your fleet, so you don't have to sit here and design a new ship and build it all out or get stuck with what's available in the game. You just have a design, you can have it printed out, and you're good to go. Pretty slick deal. I really like it. Hopefully they'll have something expanded in the future with some graphics on the shipyard actually producing it, or even where maybe you need to deliver supplies to the shipyard to produce the ship for you on top of having the money, maybe. Might be neat. We'll see what they do with that. So the cool thing is, if you make a design for a certain function or a specific ship, and you want it in the game, you just go to the shipyard. If you got the money, then you can print it out, and then you can use your design for your gameplay. So it's a pretty neat way to get your designs into the game. There will be random ships for sale, but they're just random from the collection in your game from things you've subscribed to on Steam and what you've made yourself. And that brings us to the end of the video. Hopefully I've covered the topics you were wanting to see. If I didn't, or if I missed some information you're not sure about, feel free to ask in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, if they helped you out, please consider clicking that like button and subscribing. I would really appreciate that. And with that, we will see you all on the next one, hopefully. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.